guys, thanks for coming back to my channel to watch another video. In this video, I will be discussing a few things that people don't tell you before you move to Nigeria. These will be from like really petty little things to like really important things that I feel like will probably save you a lot of grief if you knew them. But before I get into that, first of all, I'm gonna ask you to like this video and then subscribe to my channel so you can get more content like this. Alright, okay, so the first thing I think that people don't tell you, and I think this is a pretty major thing because I have gotten into quite a few arguments / discussions / arguments with people about this. Okay, first of all, people here are very, very private. Like, so private in fact that it's just weird. Like, you don't even know sometimes that like people are private about certain things until you commit a faux pas, and then they're like, I mean, but you should know this, like, you're Nigerian, why don't you know this? And I'm like, because I didn't grow up here. I grew up in a place where people talk about everything, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm gonna get into a few things that people are very private about, which sometimes are warranted, and then sometimes you're just like, I mean, but who cares? Okay, so the first thing people are really private about is their travel date, departure date, arrival date, anything dealing with traffic. I understand it because things happen. Things can happen to you where if someone knows your date and when you're going, and ooh, I think she went on a shopping trip, that could turn out to be a horrible, horrible situation. And like when I was younger, I kind of didn't understand it because my mom would like pull the I'm not gonna tell you when I'm traveling trick on us. I would even remember there'd be times where she'd be reading me a bedtime story and I'm thinking, ooh, what am I gonna have for lunch tomorrow? This, and that. And once she finished the story, she'd be like, okay, so I'm going to Nigeria for 3 weeks. I'm heading to the airport right now. Make sure you behave for whoever's watching you. And I would be like, wait, hold. No, but what? You know, like, it would be so crazy because I'd be like, you couldn't even tell your own daughter that you were traveling? And she'd be like, no, because I had a big mouth when I was little and I would tell everyone everything. But like, seriously, people don't really discuss like when they're traveling, and it's more like, it makes sense. However, there's some things where you're just like, I mean, really? Things like, I've definitely had instances where people are like when I got engaged, they were like, oh, you shouldn't really say anything about getting engaged. I even remember someone, actually more than one person, telling me, oh, you shouldn't really wear your engagement ring. And I was like, why? And they were like, you know, JIC. I was like, what does JIC mean? Oh, they were like, just in case. And I was like, I mean, just in case of what? And they were like, I mean, just in case, you know, you never know what happens. You never know what's going to happen. And I was like, listen, I don't live my life in just in cases. And I loved my engagement ring. So I was like, I'm going to continue to wear the ring. But then people are like, there's one like other like area. And I mean, there are tons of areas where people are really private. But even with pregnancy and things like that, basically, if you're in Nigeria, it's basically like, first you get married and then, I don't know, somehow you magically, a baby appears. That whole pregnancy era, just, we don't know. We don't talk about that. We don't discuss that. Because you know in the US there's this trimester rule where in the first, oops, sorry about that. In the first 3 months that you're pregnant, you don't discuss having a baby, right? You don't discuss that you're pregnant because it's a high risk time, all of that stuff. Well, in Nigeria, there is the gestational rule. That is, in the 10 months that you're carrying that baby stewing in your stomach, you don't really discuss it. You don't post it anywhere. You're not really talking about it. And the reason? Because you just never know who's plotting against you. You never know who has it out for you, who's wishing evil on your life. And I mean, it's a bit dramatic for me, but people like legitimately believe that. However, another thing that people don't tell you when you're moving to Nigeria is that people are hella intrusive. People are in your business like a lot. Like they ask a lot of you, especially like if you work in a workplace that is a bit smaller, or like maybe a one-man shop, it's not a multinational, or maybe just a smaller kind of company, then people really like it's your workplace becomes more of a family as opposed to just a workplace. And you know how families get. People want to know your business. People want to know about your life, what's going on, this and that. God forbid you do not invite someone to your wedding. That relationship is almost permanently severed. It can just be a bit different. People are more invested in you in a good way, but also they can be quite intrusive in the questions they ask you, things that just like, you know, you just got married and they want to know if you're pregnant, like, get out of my business. You know what I'm saying? Another thing that people don't tell you when you're moving to Nigeria, before you move here, is that especially if you're not a makeup person, or if you're not someone who's like really into like doing your makeup, or you're just into more of a subtle look, is that you're probably, well, most people here have a makeup artist in their address book. Most women. If there's like a wedding on a weekend, a lot of times women will call their makeup artist to come and do their makeup. And I didn't even think it was that serious, but it actually is that deep. Depending on the wedding, depending on the people who are gonna be there, like a lot of people will like have someone come and do their makeup, which kind of threw me off because I'm used to the US where you just do your makeup nice and simple, you wear a simple dress, you go to the wedding, turn up, come home. Nah, that's not the case here. A lot of times, especially I've noticed for traditional weddings, I mean, granted, sometimes it's a bit warranted. Like I feel like when you wear a gele, like having a beat face just makes sense. You know, having like a really plain face and like a gele that's like elaborately like put on, just kind of it don't match. Like it doesn't go together. But a lot of times, like if you're more low key, you'd never think to have one, and you wouldn't know to have one. In the US, like I only used a makeup artist for prom, like maybe if I was in a wedding or like I was going to a ball or something. Any other time I didn't have a makeup artist, and most of the times I would have to ask for a referral because I just didn't interact with a makeup artist on a regular basis. That is not the case here. Alright, so I'm going to tell you something else that people don't tell you when you move to Nigeria, and this is in relation to makeup artists. If you like the shape of your eyebrows, let me say this again. If you like the shape of your eyebrows, then you better watch whatever that makeup artist is doing, because if you are not checking and seeing in the mirror how they're shaping your eyebrows, you could end up looking like Whoopi Goldberg. Now, if you don't mind having no eyebrows when they're not drawn on, that's up to you. But me personally, I like having my eyebrows. And after a horrible experience of a makeup artist making me look like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde on my face, I have not, that lesson or that suggestion hasn't been lost on me. Because a lot of times what makeup artists like to do is shape your eyebrows. They'll take a little razor and start shaping it up here, and then shaping it down there, and then shaping it up here, and then shaping it down there, and all of a sudden you have no eyebrows. But when they've done your makeup, you have the perfect arch. It's looking real clean and real neat, and then when you wash off your eyebrows, you look crazy. So that's just another suggestion, and definitely something that people do not tell you before you move here. Another thing that people don't tell you before you move here, and this is important for people who did not go to school in the UK or Nigeria. So if you went to school in the US, and I don't know about other countries how their grading rubric is, but I know definitely for the US, the grading rubric here is totally different. The way you're going to put your grades on your resume, if you have a child going to school here, the way their grading rubric will be, and the tests that they take, and even like if you're going to school here, let's say you're going to law school here so you can practice law, like having a first class degree or a 2-1 or a 2-2 is just something you're going to have to learn. You're going to have to learn the grading breakdown. that like that 90 that you might have been used to getting in the US, you're probably 99% of the time not going to get that 90 anymore. If you're used to being a straight A student, it's going to be more like a 75. You know what I'm saying? Like and things like tests, like when people start talking about things like YEC and GCCS, is that it? I don't know what those things test for. I don't know. I'm sure when I have children, I'm gonna have to educate myself on that. But when people would start, like at work, start talking about their GCCSs and their YX scores and things like that. And this is the final thing I think people don't tell you before you move here, but you quickly learn it when you come here, is that, and if this did not happen to you at any point while you vacationed in Nigeria, it will most definitely happen to you when you move here. Someone you know who either works in your household or works as a support staff in your office or is your driver or does anything in a capacity that helps you or assists you will approach you for money. You'll be approached for money. They'll approach you for money for different reasons. Sometimes maybe they don't have enough transport money. Sometimes they have a sick relative who's in the village that needs help. Sometimes they'll approach you for money if like maybe a relative has died and they need money for funeral expenses. Their wife is pregnant. Their child is sick. They don't have enough money for rent. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. You will be approached for money. Now, 50% of the time, that story will be true. And maybe like they don't make enough money to support those costs. Maybe they just didn't budget enough, or like things just aren't coming together financially. The other 50%, they're lying to you because they see you with your foreign accent and that you just moved to Nigeria, and they're looking at you like you have an endless supply of naira in your bank account. Actually, not even naira. It's going to be dollars, pounds, euro, yen, something to that extent in your bank account. And so they're going to come to you like, yo, I need money, and she's got money, so what's good? And so the only advice I would tell you is, it just depends. Giving out that money, like in most of the time, you won't know when they're telling you the truth and when they're lying to you. So it depends on your relationship with the person, and like the way they've acted in the past and how credible you think they're being, how much money you actually have in your bank account, how you feel about giving out money to people and things like that. That will determine what you do in that situation. I'm of the school of I don't lend money out. So if you ask me for money, I will give you a certain amount of money that I feel like I can live without. And if you choose to pay me back, so be it. If you don't want to pay me back, so be it. But I know that this is how much my threshold is. And using the factors that I told you about your relationship, all of this stuff, trustworthiness, you will know how to approach the situation. But don't think that that's not going to happen to you, because it is. It just is. It happens to everyone. I know, like, even people, I mean, it happens to everyone, even people that live here on a regular basis. That's just life. But anyway, I just wanted to share a few of those things with you that I think people don't really talk about before you move to Nigeria, but they're definitely things that play out in your day-to-day life. And I just thought that it would be good for you to know. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. And stay tuned for another video next week. Bye!